Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Isle of the Dam. And joke's on you, Rebecca. I have everything muted before we begin. So hello. My name is Mark, aka the CatsMeow, and this is my lovely Twitch slash YouTube channel, depending on where you're watching this. And this is the penultimate episode of Vampire: The Dark Ages, Isle of the Damned. I hope you're ready for an exciting number of events that will come together in what will probably be maybe the death for all or few of our delightful gay nights. We shall have to see how things go. With that, I think we can jump right into our introductions, as this will be the second last time we will be doing so for the Isle of the Damned. Uh, So why don't we have an introduction of our characters, starting off with Rebecca? Why don't you introduce us to your character?
Hi, I'm Rebecca, and I play Keeper Sister Iris of Clan La Sombra. I'm just figuring things out.
Of course. Next up, Drew. Why don't you give us your introduction of yourself and your character?
Everybody, I'm Drew, and formerly the player of Sir Oliver, who is now apparently a demon worshipping horrible person, and now the player of Snorri, the Cappadocian Crypt Keeper, patent pending.
Um, Next up, Blue. Why don't you introduce yourself? Spit my tongue.
Hello, everyone.
Oh
Oh no.
no!
Hello, everyone. I'm Blue, and I, for the moment anyway, am playing Prince Gwyneth of Peel, Clan Zamitzi. He's not your
Very
dad.
nice. He's not your dad. Poor stepdad. Doesn't get the love he deserves. Uh,
As
Next
you should.
up, next up, Thomas. Why don't you give us your introduction?
Hello, my name is Thomas, and I will be playing Randolph, Sheriff of Peel, member of Clan Gangrel. And very recently, just diablerized his first person and enormously loved it. He's a new improved version of Randolph, and I'm not just saying that because he's been possessed by the person he ate.
I'm sure it's totally fine.
Let's say that.
Uh,
Happens.
Next up, last but certainly not least, Mars. Give us your introduction.
Hello, I am Mars, and I am playing Maud the Valkyrie Hound of Bloodline Aramanes.
Very nice.
For now, we shall
For
see.
now.
It's only for now.
No.
And I, of course, are your storyteller, here to help guide you through this lovely tale of deceit, deception, blood, and of course, death. I think with that, we can begin. With a recap. Who would like to lead this week's recap?
All right. Let's do it. So, in last week's preamble, we saw Prince Gwyneth being led up the mountain on horseback, by a kine. At the ancient lookout, the demon appeared and made him one last offer of guaranteed success, asking Gwyneth to sacrifice the man to it. Gwyneth said no. Then he used Krana to flood the catacombs of Douglas, raised a storm, and, washed a few ships out of the harbor into the city. No big deal. He had to roll conscience for committing a sin on his path, and felt bad. Then he returned home, somehow avoiding the lupine. Back in Peel, everyone slept through the day. At night, Iris woke up and looked at the shard Elijah had given her. Randolph went to speak with the prince and catch him up on the lupine situation. He found the prince talking with his childer, who ran off, relieved not to be responsible anymore. Maud also came to talk about the lupine situation and the offer to negotiate with them. The prince wanted to warn the Canaanites in the forest of danger, especially Lady Tuari. As we spoke, Banu Hakim appeared and stabbed the prince a lot, putting him in torpor before jumping out the window. The sheriff and Maud pursued him. He put Maud into torpor as well, but Randolph ended up killing and diablerizing him. Back to Iris. Something in the shard was responding to her. There was a tentacle thing inside that was reaching for her and seemed to want out. She did some research and read in a book by Father Isaac that denizens of the abyss have knowledge no one else has, and treating with them can be valuable but very dangerous. Isaac himself chose to cut his connection to them, but his brother did not. The denizens can be bound to service, but it comes with a price. And Iris wondered if that was what the shadow was that was following her sire in the graveyard in the previous episode. Then Percy arrived to summon her to the castle after the attack on the prince and Maud. At the castle, we all feel a sense of dread around Randolph now because of his diablerie. While Iris tended to Maud, Amir appeared to ask what happened. He revealed to us that the assassin was the man he was in Peel to take out, clan betrayer who had killed Amir's brother. Blade used to belong to his brother, so Randolph gave it back to him. Percy told us that ships were spotted sailing from Scotland toward the island. Their king is coming to unseat Olaf the Black. We have maybe 6 days to prepare for war. And as the full council is gathered to discuss matters, Maud went to find Bride, but Bride was missing, so she skipped the council meeting to go look for her. Gwyneth introduced Oswald as the newest member. Amir was pissed, but no one else showed much of a reaction. Randolph told everyone about the lupine, and Oswald said he knows their weakness. He volunteered to start making silver arrows, but we're all keeping it hush-hush for now. Randolph told everyone about the approaching army. We'll need to prepare support forces and speak with some of the Canaanites in the city to find out whose side they're on, if they're going to be helpful or not. We also need to write to Lord Duncan to see if Canaanites will be arriving with the Foreman army again. Basically, we all have assignments to prepare for war. Marana said there's no news from Douglas. It's too quiet there right now. Iris suggested Gwyneth use Krana to sink the enemy ships before they arrive. He refused, and she questioned his reasons, and he said they'll talk about it later in private. As the council broke to take care of business, Marana asked to speak with Gwyneth alone. She told him Douglas knows what he did, and they sent the assassin as a warning. He is meant to wound Gwyneth, not kill him, but it will be to kill him next. She said she'll keep things quiet on the condition that Gwyneth steps down as prince when all this is over, whatever that means. Gwyneth agreed, to the surprise of everyone, especially the demon, who threw an absolute fit, and Gwyneth laughed at it. And that is what happened.
All right.
Yeah.
Is there anything else anyone would like to add?
I believe that's largely it.
Perfect. In that case, Gwynedd, have a willpower point back.
Woohoo! I'm rich.
Rich. Right. With that, we move into a different scale of time. as we focus ourselves with a kind of a bird's eye view over what happens over the next 6 days in preparation for the battle that is coming to the shores of the Isle of Man. I think with this, let's start off with Randolph.
Hello.
No preamble?
No preamble this episode.
Wow.
We're making the preamble.
Doing it.
All right. With that, why don't you give a spiel to the viewers of what exactly Randolph is up to over the next about a week.
Indeed. Randolph knows a couple of things, even like sitting deep within the predatory mindset of the Road of the Hunter as he is. The security of Peel is of paramount importance, and the army sent by Scotland is coming right here, since it's the capital of the Isle and Olaf the Black is within the city. He will be the one needed to be overthrown. And two, all Prince Atticus needs to do to mess us up is absolutely nothing, and making sure that none of the troops of Douglas support Peel, and he can do way worse with that. So, Randolph is going to become more attuned to the beast, setting the beasts of the land and sky around the city, looking for traitors, looking for spies. And for the second, he will use the beasts of the sea. He will be using his potent blood, as well as the promise of more, to find the animals we know as killer whales, orcas, fueling them with kindred vitae and sending them against the incoming navies. At the very least, inclined to like ram a hole in one or two ships, knock a few people overboard, and feast on the meat. Worst case scenario, he's down a couple of blood points. Best case scenario, we cripple the oncoming advance.
Alright. With that, why don't you do me a charisma and animalism roll?
Let's do it.
This will specifically be for communicating with the orcas and ghouling them. The rest of them, I assume you can
Indeed.
do with time, so otherwise I'd just have you be rolling over and over again. So let's focus on the one that
Indeed.
can go wrong.
May I lower the difficulty a little bit by making clicking noises with my mouth and communicating with them that way?
Sure.
It's part of the power.
Okay.
It's okay if not.
Yeah,
Okay,
why
cool.
not? I'll allow it. It will be difficulty 8, but I'll allow you to take it down to difficulty 7.
Exactly. That's what I was looking for. And I imagine these are wild animals.
I guess? If this is to lower the difficulty, no. It's low enough as it is.
No. Indeed. It's for specialty purposes, and
Oh,
we'll
then
see
yes.
how it goes.
I'd say so. You can have your specialty for this.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I am not going to spend willpower because I'll need it later, I suspect. We'll see if it bites me in the ass. I can't
It's
see it. Botch.
Negative
It
one.
does bite me in the ass. It may
Damn.
literally, in fact, bite me as the orcas rebel.
Yeah, I think in this case, you lose an arm for a period of time. As, like, you offer your arm to them,
Ow.
and one of them literally bites it off at, like, not the shoulder, but the elbow.
Herschel.
Yeah. I will say Randolph will not inform the others of that specific failure.
It does take
But
you a
it
bit of
is-
time to grow your arm back.
Because it is purely embarrassing.
Why don't you roll me a d10,
well,
actually? A d10 and tell me
indeed.
high or low.
I'll say high for this case.
Okay.
7.
You'll have your arm back by the time we get to the 6th day. But not before, so do keep that in mind.
I will. I was all set for Randolph to be a cool Beastmaster, but in fact, he got
dice said
bitten,
no.
and
I don't know.
the
They
dice said
ate a
no.
lot of your blood, apparently.
I mean, there's definitely some Gould orcas around the water, and maybe that's a problem that will have to be dealt with later.
All right then. And you are
For
able to
time.
successfully set up your communication network between animals that are around Peel.
Very good. At least that worked.
Yeah. Next up, Snorri. Drew, why don't you describe what Snorri's up to for the next couple days? Or a week and a bit, or less than a week. Period of time.
Having heard of the approach of the incoming Navy, he has gone through some tomes, looking through rituals and things of that nature. He considers what he knows about war, as well as being a seafaring person, many, many years ago, and he would look towards Ingrid and ask her to use her feminine wiles to go and welcome the Navy, the men that have been on these ships, to the island and take their personal belongings as she did so. Meanwhile, he will be creating a drum of wood and human flesh as the head, preparing
Alright.
for a very dark ritual.
Will do. In this case, why don't you roll me a d10 and tell me high or low?
I will go. Thomas, why'd you have to mess me up? I will go high.
Oh, that's low. It's a 3.
Oh,
I
That's
I'm
my lucky number
sorry.
too.
I thought you gave that stick to me.
Took it back. Age before grace, my friend.
Alright then. I think with that, is there any other main things you would like Snorri to have done that we should focus in on?
Other than those two things, I think he would also spend, now that he's announced himself to Ellie's Maud and Bride, I think he would probably be double checking his research on the feelings that he has on the vision he saw of Bride.
Alright. That can be done. Why don't you make us an intelligence and occult roll? This will be... Here we go. For you, it will be 9 dice. At a difficulty of... Let's say 7. You're taking the time for this. Right.
Nice.
3 successes total. 1. As you are focusing on the vision that you've seen, focusing on your thoughts around it, you know that Bride is something important to the metaphysical future of Canite kind. Something about her and her existence is an anomaly that threatens the current structure that has been created. It is and could be the key to undoing all of the false narrative that have been created.
Snorri, it seems that his studies have led him to further have a further, I guess it confirms what he already believed. Having seen the image of her plucking the fruit from the tree, and knowing what he knows about his faith and his understanding, this is this thing that has been prophesized and has been waited for generations, and he has a look of determination as he closes the tome and goes on about his work with the drum.
All right. I think with that, we will move on to Maud. So why don't you give us
Right.
an idea of what Maud is up to in the week -1?
Yes, the week -1. I think Maud would first and foremost be looking for a bride. That would probably be the most urgent thing she'd be doing, but if she's able to find her, she would attempt to communicate with Oswald and the prince, presumably, to get the ritual sorted, but otherwise, in the 6 days leading up to it, she would probably try to generally communicate with some of the nearby birds, probably, and see if she can kind of like send a few of them out to generally be kind of like an information network. See if they can like scout, figure out anything, preferably near like where the ships are coming in, the Navy, and Douglas as well.
All right. Sounds good. In that case, we focus in on you attempting to find Bride on the night that she went missing. It does not take you long before you find Bride conversating with
Oh god.
with, here we go, Ingrid.
Oh god. Oh god.
And they just seem to be quietly talking to each other before Ingrid would look
Alright.
over to notice you. Ah, Mord. It is a pleasure to see you
Everything
these
alright?
nights.
Sure.
Everything is fine, is it not, Bride? She turns to Bride. Bride kind of looks around and goes, "Oh, yeah. Everything's fine. I was just talking to Ingrid about some stuff. Questions I had."
Did they sound? Do I get the vibe that everything is fine, or that there's something fucking weird going
Perception?
on? Yeah.
Perception, empathy. Difficulty 7, probably.
Alright. Perception of the difficulty 7. One success.
Alright. No, nothing strange seems to particularly going on. Again,
Alright.
Bride still has that kind of innocent vibe around her that, you know, she's not really quite sure exactly what's going on. However, Ingrid herself is composed, calm, and just seems to be genuine. Or at least not openly deceptive. With that, Brad will just go, I'm sorry I left the room. I didn't know if I'd get another opportunity to speak with her. There's some questions about some of that stuff that Mr. Snorri was talking about.
Of course.
At
That's
this
alright,
point,
right.
Ingrid would speak up and say, "You know, Mort, you should speak to Snorri as well. There is much that you two should speak of. Whether you know it or not, you have similar background and are following the same path. But I will leave that to you. It was a pleasure
course.
talking to you, Bride. Should you have any other questions, I am, of course, always around to speak. It is my job to help in the growth of those who matter most. That she nods to her and then to you and then turns and walks off.
Alright.
That Bride turns to you and goes, is there something you need from me?
I was just checking in on you mainly. Seeing if you're alright. But not tonight, but at some point. Might be a good idea to see if we can find out more about what's going on with what Snorri saw, and more kind of also gestures to where those kind of like odd like markings on Bride had been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Of course.
Of course. Are you feeling alright?
Yeah, things are well.
I'll lead you back to the room.
All right.
Or kind of like, yeah, kind of like leads her over.
Yeah. All right. I think with that we can move on to focus on Iris.
Mhm.
Now, why don't you give us an idea of what Iris has been up to this past week?
Iris has been looking into um other certain people around the island, having people followed, and looking into things that seem in our best interest. Had um Maine and Mackenzie tailed for a little bit, and she's looked into Sir Oliver, the Library of Douglas, and a couple other key places and people.
Mm-hmm.
She's also looked into Eamon.
I think with that, would you like to lead to you speaking to Eamon, as you have
I'd love
found
to.
where he is located?
Mm-hmm.
As we find our scene, a tavern, where we can see Eamon sitting by himself. What looks to be spinning a coin on a table in front of him, very absent-mindedly. What do we see of Iris as she enters the scene?
Iris enters looking fondly, almost nostalgically, at this tavern a lifetime ago. A small shadow of a smile as she crosses the threshold, and then wanders over to Eamon, and then sort of intentionally embiggens the smile. Couple for your thoughts.
He looks up. There's a smile, a cocky smile appears on his face. Not often I see a nun at one of these places. What brings you all this way, Keeper? Spins the coin again.
You don't have to pretend.
Pretend what? Did I give a fuck?
We all wear a mask to hide our true feelings sometimes. You are lost in thought. You're worried about something.
What would I have to be worried about?
Oh, the state of the city, the state of the people, your company, the people you are in charge of, knowing that things are coming that you cannot control, and that you have to deal with their well-being.
I ain't in charge of anyone, lass, and much less give a fuck about the city. Your city, I should say. Maybe the people, but more the fact that you and your ilk tend to step on them. Use them like fucking cattle. Spins the coin.
Yes, I'm aware. And I wish that it weren't so.
Wishes don't do anyone good. All that does is being able to stand up for something you believe in. If you can't do that, then, well, you might as well consent to all the horrible things that happen in the world.
That's true enough. So, what are you standing up for right now?
Whatever the fuck I want.
Well then, what do you want to stand up for?
Sticking it to the fucking elders that think they know better than everyone else.
It's certainly something that I imagine a lot of us can get behind.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
I would hope so, but as you said, hope doesn't get us much.
No.
Then
No, it doesn't. After all, last time I tried to reach out to one of yours, they tattled, didn't they?
And then someone stood up for you.
Who?
The one that didn't let them take your head off.
They couldn't take my head off if they fucking tried.
They would try.
Aye, they would.
And then it would end in more death than needed to be.
Sometimes a bit of death is necessary.
Would you believe me if I said I agreed?
Probably.
It's not the best course. It's not my favorite course. But in defense, in trying to stick up for those who cannot stick up for themselves.
Aye, but there's a big difference. You see, you church folk, you see yourself as the righteous ones. The ones that when they do good, their sins are forgiven. That's all horseshit. We remember your sins. The sins of the faithful. So often they hide behind the veneer of righteousness. You see, I believe that the people should die because they're slavers. They're kings that rule over people with an iron fist. That kill people for hunting in their lands. They call them poachers, thieves, and they do it all with the righteousness of the church. You see, as long as you have your faith, you are a slave to the machine that enslaves all.
I think there will be a genuine smile on her face, but it is one of sadness, mirth. Not all of us are always this.
But you're a part of
I
it.
just... I am.
Then you
And
bear
it is
those
selfish.
sins.
I do. And I understand that. And it is heavy. It doesn't go away with a small prayer or a limerick that you've memorized. The real work is the work. And it's not enough to just say the things or act the part. You have to make the real effort. And I see your real effort, Eamon. And I know that it can be a burden. I've seen you in the tavern, lost in thought. The mask slips, and you feel the weight of it all. I
Can
won't
I ask
ask you.
question?
Oh, of course.
Is this big fucking speech going somewhere?
I was just about to get there, but you know, us church folk love a good lecture before it gets there. So, we all play our part.
Aye, but that's the difference. That right there is the difference. You play a part. You dance to their
And
song.
so do you.
I dance to no one's song but my own.
How do you know that this isn't mine? That it's not the song that I wrote for myself when everyone else was trying to force a script on me?
I guess I don't. And to be
You
honest,
don't. You don't give a fuck.
aye. Aye, I think you're getting it.
I get more than you know. There's people that are coming, that are going to hurt the little people. We need all the help we can get. You don't have to help us, but help the people that can't help themselves. And it's not me asking you as a favor. It's just me telling you what's going to happen. And what's going to happen if we don't act.
Is that it then? Just friendly advice?
It's all I can offer as a nun. It's up to you to do what you feel is right in your heart.
Aye then.
And it's also what a barmaid might offer, which is my past life in this very tavern.
Then I'll think on it.
God bless.
God can go fuck himself.
Oh, careful now. That is a blasphemy. And I think she'll just smile. Just like with the audacity of saying that and turn around to leave.
Alright. With that, we will move on to Gwyneth. with that, Gwyneth, why don't you tell us what it's been up to for the week? And a bit less.
Hopefully healing some ag damage.
Yep, you're able to heal the
Um,
ag damage by the time it becomes the day.
Perfect. He's also going to be working on some vicissitude to create bone scale armor for himself, which he's just going to wear under his clothes. Because getting killed is inevitable, but you gotta try. You gotta try a little bit. Yeah. I just realized we still need to appoint a seneschal, but that's something we can do together, I guess, before everybody lands. And he promised Iris a conversation, so let's do that.
All right then. With that, we cut to a private conversation between the prince and Iris.
Is it in the church? Is it in the castle?
It's probably in the church because Iris has been extremely busy for this whole week.
All right then. To the church.
It's a Batmobile.
There we go. You are both within the church.
I think when you enter the church, it is different than you have ever seen Iris Gesundheit. You're hardly ever she's hardly ever in control and, on top of it. There's a level of confidence here that she does not usually exert. She is delegating tasks and making sure that resources are in the correct spot, people are doing what they need to do.
Sister Iris, I believe, had promised you a private conversation.
I suppose, but, over there, right, about what is this? Is it important?
Well, you had asked me a question, which I wasn't going to answer in front of the council, so we're going to speak in private about it.
It's fine, Gwyneth. If you don't want to do what things that you don't wish to do, I don't need. Fine, it's fine. I suppose we should.
I think we're overdue.
I suppose. At my office then.
Very well. I'll follow her in.
Yeah, she'll lead you in and then be right by the door.
He's gonna sit down.
In case somebody has to, get her quickly, because there's a lot of stuff going on.
Of course, we're all very busy right now, I can see. Perhaps you more than others, but,
Not quite
I think
about
we're overdue for a
several different pies
conversation
right now.
between just the two of us.
I
What do you think?
I suppose, if you
How
deem
are
it
you?
so.
I do. How are you, Sister Iris?
Busy.
Yes, that's
How
on
are
the
you?
surface. But how are you? How are you? How are you?
I am. How is everyone right now? We are preparing for war that is coming to our shore quickly. I'm worried about people. There's things coming at us from all different sides.
True. Do you feel somehow buoyed by the need for things to do? Do you feel useful now?
Well, I'm so rarely buoyed, but no, I'm doing what needs to be done. I feel that it doesn't feel good to be needed necessarily. It's doing my job. So I feel neutral.
And what of other things? What of Josiah being in the city now? How do you feel about that?
I don't like it. There's a reason that I left the courts. There's a reason that I don't associate with them. Him being here is not good.
I agree. But feel safe enough, confident in yourself to remain in control with him nearby.
Yes.
All right.
How are you, Gwyneth?
Amused, as always.
I'm so glad that you are amused and that you're able to be amused in a time like this.
It's really all you can do at a time like this.
No,
Well,
you can
thank you.
help. You can make things better. You can do.
They're not mutually exclusive, though, Sistitis.
I suppose a church is a good place for a sermon.
Go on.
No, I'm referring to you.
Oh, I have nothing to preach.
All right.
Well, perhaps this was, too late.
Too
I would
late.
like to say, I think that the deterioration of our relationship has been fairly swift since I became prince, and I do regret that. But
There's no deterioration.
Are you sure?
I don't know that there was much to begin with. I didn't know any of you all that well.
In my perspective, before this, we always seemed to get along. There was mutual respect.
There's still mutual respect. You can have disagreements with people that you respect.
That's true. It's true, and I do appreciate the disagreements. I think they're needed. A reminder of what Father Collins would want. I think your voice is quite important in that respect.
Thank you. It is because I respect you that I continue to give you advice, even if it is unsolicited. I care a great deal about this city and its people, and I want the best for it. So I give you my honest opinion. Honesty is respect. A disrespect would be to sugarcoat it, or to just become an echo chamber rather than a sounding board.
I agree, but I think
But
where that respect is voiced is perhaps where the disrespect comes in. And
in our council meetings, surrounded by our peers, who are
yes,
all giving you advice and having conversation.
not in the way that you do, though. I do not come to criticize or approach that, but it must be mentioned when it comes to the sort of advice you give. There are a few princes who would put up with that, but I'm not that sort. Because I do value your advice, and I value you
I
as a
see.
person.
Well, that's good then. It's good to be valued and listened to, and have a valued opinion.
I do. It
I
may not
see.
seem like it, but I genuinely do. I also worry for you as, an individual, which is why I inquire about your sire and unintentionally rhyme. He
Well,
chuckles a bit. Because I know, our relationships with our sires can be difficult things.
Well, if you were looking for people, canine, to get rid of once the time comes, then if you so desire, he might be the first on the list.
And when you say get rid of,
As there have been multiple sorts of advisements that there are quite a bit of Canaanites in the city, and some might need to be persuaded to leave so as not to drain resources or draw attention.
persuaded to leave. Yes.
Yes.
Well, if that's what you wish, I will do my best. Is it not?
I can only give advice. My wishes are secondary.
That's what I'm asking you. What your wishes are. Because I value you as an individual.
I wish for whatever is good. I don't often pay much attention to what I want, because it is not important.
But it is
I'm
important.
secondary. You don't get to tell me what's important to me.
No, it's important to me.
Okay. I want to help my people prepare for what is coming. And every minute that I'm away from them, every minute that I have my eyes elsewhere, something could go wrong. And there are much more important things right now than what one person wants. I do appreciate the effort, but I do not believe that now is the time.
Now may be the last time. But
Then it is not the right time. We will have to go without. Because if now is the last time, my wishes matter little.
very well. Then I will respect your wishes. Thank you for meeting with me.
Thank you. God bless.
Indeed. I'll get up and walk out.
There's no breakdown in relations.
It
Everything's
has to
fine.
be one to have it breaking down.
Famously said by people with great working relationships.
Alright. With that, are there any other scenes people would like to take care of between themselves and our NPCs? We have a bit more time for some of them.
There is the ritual.
Oh yes, we do have the ritual
Yep.
scene.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Although
Who would
you
like
were
to be
saying
part
something,
of the...
Thomas?
Go ahead.
I don't have anything in particular. I'm not privy to a couple of pieces of information. I'm letting the talky people sort out talky things. And if there is pushback, then I will be killing the people who may or may not be traitors and spies.
Alright then, I think with that we will prepare for the ritual scene. Who is taking part in this?
I believe Snorri would just, even though it's not his sort of ritual, I believe he would want to be present as he was at least involved at some point during the beginning phases of it.
Alright then.
With Gwyneth, it's up to Maud. He did promise to be there originally, but he's gonna leave the decision up to her. That's what she wants.
I think she would be fine if Gwyneth is there. Because I think it's only her that's in the... If I recall, was the agreement that only Maud was going to be in the actual, like, room itself,
actual
but the
room?
others were...
Yeah, the others can wait outside the
were
room.
going to be present. But yeah, she's fine if other people want to be there as well.
No one else was in the room where it happened.
Yeah.
I think if we are... who's the best person to be there for waiting outside the room?
I mean, if it's like guarding and waiting for something to particularly happen, Randolph would very much like to perch like a little gargoyle. Ugh, bad reference there.
Yeah, if that's the
Oh.
situation, Gwyneth would have Randolph there.
Indeed.
He's
He will
free.
be there and waiting for a scream that is not the good kind of magical, what's the word? Epiphany scream. The kind of scream that says a demon's being summoned or people are getting hit by fire.
Alright, and would Snorri be waiting outside the room as well?
Yeah. I mean, would he be in the room? Is that a no-go?
Oswald would probably say no.
Yeah.
That was kind of his take before.
He likes to keep his rituals private.
Kenzie Tremere.
Because
Alright.
it's okay to steal everyone else's knowledge, but no one
Yeah,
gets
yeah.
their knowledge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Kenzie
That's the
Tremere.
watchword of the Tremere.
If that is the case, we had a little. Did Snorri have any more time before the ritual?
You
'Cause
probably
I
have time.
believe- I believe he would try to do his own ritual so he could see into the Shadowlands from
Alright.
outside the room.
Okay. That's
You
easy
can
enough.
use
I'll say you can
God.
do that.
In fact, I'll say that Gwyneth has been using Auspex like crazy.
Yeah.
Since stabbing. There's a lot of Auspex going on.
Oh yeah.
And I need to diablerize a Toreador.
Alright then. with that, as it's you, Maud, as it's you, Bride, and Oswald, inside the room of this large house where the walls themselves are covered with strange bottles and little boxes of strange occult items. A lot of symbols on the walls, some of which you may recognize as being like old, like druidic symbols, while other of them are far more unusual and foreign. As you stand in the middle of what is a large pentagram that has been set up on the floor with a number of candles in each of the corners of the star. And he looks at you and goes, "Well then, are you ready to begin?"
Maud just kind of nods. I think, glancing in the direction of Bride, just assessing how she's doing.
Bride takes a deep breath and slowly nods. It does seem like she's a little nervous.
I think Maud kind of reaches out to grab her hand, giving it kind of like a reassuring squeeze.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be fine. I'm here to make sure of that.
With that, Oswald would step forward, reaching out for her other hand as she slowly lifts it to him. You watch as he pulls out what looks to be a large, ceremonial-looking dagger. And he just lightly presses it into her palm. Enough that you watch as the vitae begins to swell out of it. With that, he reaches down and swipes it with his finger as he steps towards the middle of the circle, and he begins chanting. He chants in a language you do not understand, but you do watch as there is an energy that fills the room. As he seems to be entirely focused in on his finger, as he takes the blade and scrapes it off his finger, cutting off part of the actual finger itself, the skin that mixes with the blood as he holds it forth on the knife. He continues to chant into it, focusing the power as you can feel the room begin to swell with magic and power. With that, you feel the room begin to dim as you watch the candles flutter out. And you watch as he licks the knife. Oh, and something I forgot to mention, he does actually have a vial of Brad's blood as well, as he takes a bit more of the blood into a vial and uses that as part of the ritual.
Alright.
Yeah, that goes. Now that is interesting.
What is it?
Bride is the child of a Nosferatu, as we know, who goes by the name of Limpy. Child of a Nosferatu by the name of Morana. This is Morana's grandchild.
Alright.
Daddy tucks the vial away. And with that, the ritual is complete. Thank you for your time.
Of course. What doesn't say much more to Oswald. She probably just kind of begins leading Bride out of the room, checking in with her,
Alright.
but
Bride seems to be
heading out to
fine.
the others.
But yeah. You would go out to see Randolph and Snorri are waiting there.
And me.
Oh, and
Snorri
Alright,
looks over.
how'd it go? Oh, sorry, you go.
Snorri looks over to Bride, just looking her over, up and down. A look of concern, but also just suspicion as he looks her over, just making sure she's overall intact and not showing any signs from the ritual.
she seems to be fine. And from your perspective of the Shadowlands, you do not see any harmful things that have been placed upon her.
Faster than expected. How'd it go?
Interesting. Found out the name of Bride's sire. Limpy.
Good.
I suppose that's more politically convenient than what I was expecting.
Well, Limpy's Morana's child, so
She has the instruments to make more. We'll see if
that's
Limpy
fair.
has the efficacy and competence required towards this domain to remain within it, either alive or otherwise. And if not, one fewer mouth to feed. If Morana's particularly sentimental, another decision can be made, and a quieter kill can be arranged for.
I'm certainly.
Does Limpy possess the power to break the chain between Saya and Childa? Surely not.
My guess is it's something to do with Bride herself. He nods towards Bride, rather than anything Limpy can do, unless it's something that Morana has shared with him.
You all have it all
It's rather
wrong.
convenient. Go ahead, Snorri.
Simply have it all wrong. It is nothing that Morana or this Limpy passed on. Bride, a very special individual. It has
That's what I said.
many things in her future, should we be able to grant her one. It will right many
Get a
wrongs from our
future.
kind.
And yet, he created Childa without permission. And then
Aye.
hid.
That's certainly worth
This
punishing.
was nothing of his doing. So, did Sister Morana know about it? Or was it just him?
If I were him, I'd do one of two things. One, hide it, bury it under the dirt and hope that my shame wouldn't come to light. Or two, inform the person I trusted most with my life and ensure that it would remain hidden. Either way.
With all due respect, these revelations are important, and I do not deny that. This is probably something you all should discuss as the council at a different time, as I have much more concerns.
No, I think this is the time. You're not part of the council, so you may leave.
Are we
This
in
is
the
certainly
council
the
chamber,
time.
Prince? Excuse you?
I think
Sorry,
perhaps.
leave immediately. That's enough of you.
Good luck.
Oh dear.
He turns and
I-
leaves.
I was going to ask further questions about what this means pertaining to Bride, but I do understand that certain things must be discussed at certain times. I think like Randolph's predatory eyes kind of track out the door where Snorri left and went, oh, damn. In any case, if you would like my advice, the crime must be either punished or swept under the rug. I'd talk to Marana to see what she might particularly enjoy, considering we will need her. We will need her efficacy in the nights to come. If she is fine with letting go of her child, we kill him brutally and publicly, as that is what is required. If not, sweep it under the rug like exactly they hoped it to be. As it is, Bride must survive, and whatever strange magic stuff that you've got going on, he kind of like waves a hand towards Bride, can be looked into in a later date.
Bride's here with us, right?
Yes.
Bride, how do you feel about this?
I don't know. I do feel angry at whatever it is that did this to me.
Absolutely, as you have a right to be. Someone needs to be punished for this. Have any of the Nosferatu attempted to speak with you?
I don't believe so.
Limpy was at the scene of her kidnapping and embrace. I thought he was being there to investigate as well, but more than likely he was coming to make sure I didn't discover anything too important.
Yes, that's likely. Well, I know Sister Iris is very busy, but I feel like perhaps the Inner Council should discuss this in the council chamber. I think this needs to be handled soon, before the armies arrive.
I think at the very least, we should let her know what I think our efforts should be poised towards handling the approaching situation as it is currently, as that is the biggest issue. But this can certainly be handled if there's time or after that.
I think like Randolph's inner mind, the beast louder than usual is like handling handled. What does she mean by that? No. But Randolph will say, aye, if we do not prepare as firmly as we can, we will not have a city to rule over. Should Limpy believe that we are in the dark as before, I imagine he will do one of two things. He will continue with his job, nothing changing there, being a useful part of the information gathering machine, or he'll try to run, and nothing will evade me. But we have to survive until we get that far.
I think we should keep an eye on him, but I don't
I
think it's on
think-
that's an issue.
I think I'd like to speak with Randolph in the council chamber, and if Maud would like to join, you're welcome to. And
Of course.
Gwyneth just heads there.
I think there's a brief moment when his like alien, even more bestial looking eyes kind of turn to regard Bride. Are you doing all right? You've got the name of someone who ripped you from this earth and put you in another life entirely, one which you don't quite embrace. You haven't fed from Kine yet, have you?
Randolph.
Eh.
I think you should follow the prince.
I hope you are doing all right. He slinks away.
With his little baby hand.
It's fine. It just doesn't have hair on it at the moment.
Actually, technically, it goes to about halfway between his wrist and his elbow.
Indeed.
It's a strong
It's
hand.
fine.
It's fine.
Exactly. He's got what he needs. Worst case scenario, he learns how to fight with his feet. But yes, he will follow the prince.
Yeah,
Just-
so
Yeah, you guys go and have a meeting. Bride goes back to her room.
Yeah, I think Maud kind of makes
just
sure
sounds
she
like
gets.
she's grounded.
Oh, well, I think Maud does kind of accompany her back, just to make sure that she's in her room and safe. But
Yeah.
she would, after the fact, kind of like double checking to make sure there's no one around. She would double back to the meeting room.
All right. You all arrive in the meeting room. Do you call for anyone else?
Not yet. Can I do like a check for invisible people before we get started?
Well, I get to see what. Yeah, you could make a perception, awareness roll. Difficulty 8.
Do I get any bonus from aspects?
Nope.
Ooh.
The Auspex lets you make it.
Yeah.
I can smell them once they appear. Other than that, I've got nothing.
Hello.
Okay, with 3 successes, do not think you see anyone who is hiding in this room.
All right. Gwyneth will just turn to Randolph and say, I realize we're not in the best of situations currently, but I did swear that whoever had committed this crime would be killed. I don't think
Indeed.
this is the time to show weakness. I know Marana being who she is. Discussing it with her ahead of time is wise. However, it must be done.
Hmm. We're in a position where I never believed in justice. Even as a mortal, I thought it was a very weird thing. Odd thing to say as a sheriff, I understand. But, we are in a position where we cannot afford more enemies. I can kill him pretty quick. I might have to do something odd about Marana. That'll be fine. I'm happy to do so. But there is a neutral narrow path. Discussing it with her is good. It needs to be an ultimatum of sorts. In doing this, there will be some kind of favor maybe done later, that kind of thing. Or otherwise, use it to extract more favors from her. Otherwise, I'll find out where he goes, find out where he lays his head, and kill him out in the distance and make it look as if the forward scouts of Douglas did it. Unless you think she'll take it well. In which case, I'll just kill him.
We have no way of knowing. I think Gwyneth will send a runner to Sister Iris with a message that, the ritual. Iris knew we were going to do the ritual with Oswald,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Maybe it just says the ritual is complete, important information gleaned. Join the council if you wish. You have time.
Does Iris join the council?
Iris has been doing so much, like with everything that she has done. Like, I don't know if she genuinely has time, because I've, done all, like, it's also like up to you, like, given everything that Iris has been doing. Do you
Iris
think that she
can.
would?
If Iris wants to, she can. It's on her.
Yeah, he's giving her the option.
Yeah,
You know.
I understand. Yeah, I'm just checking with.
Yeah. So if you want to, you can. If
I
Iris
think
wouldn't want to,
Iris will reluctantly go because she knows that there's a lot of stuff to do. There's no time for this, but given the whole vibe of that conversation, she's like, if I don't go, it's gonna look bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, grit her teeth and go.
I think before
Does
Iris
Maud say anything?
arrives. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Randolph will say one thing, which is what I said about enemies. Snorri's useful. Too useful to alienate. And he was important to Father Collins for whatever reason, presumably talking to ghosts and stuff. Angering him, I'm not certain what advantages it brings. He was out of line, certainly, but, well, if you can't kill him, you gotta put up with him.
Yes, but the blatant disrespect I can't continue to tolerate.
Mm.
It's not the time to show weakness of that sort.
No, true enough. Granted, if any of the princes from the mainland were on this island, I bet we'd be down to like 5.
Most likely.
But just so long as it's known, I gotta talk with him about ghost stuff later. But yes, he will
Yes,
nod his head in about and await. Oh, sorry, you go.
I'm not banishing him from the city, but I will banish him from my sight when he speaks to me in such a manner. I reserve that right.
Most fair. But yes, with that, he will nod his head in a bow and await the arrival of the nun.
None other.
The nun
None
arrives.
Whoa.
other.
The nun.
She has come from the nunnery.
Indeed. Trying to get thee back. But yes, I think
Does
her
Maud
hair is
say
just a little more frayed than usual.
Miss Frizzle. Oh no. I don't like this. The last time he did this, I got stabbed. I don't like it.
2d10 this time. It's not suspicious attacks.
Totally
But I think
fine.
Maud also would have joined like midway through that conversation and would have stood there quietly.
Okay.
Iris.
Titus. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, I thought it prudent.
We are discussing how to handle Limpy's transgression.
Limpy, child of Sister Marana, is the one who embraced Bride without permission or forethought.
Right. Well, I would advise that I imagine that there are more pressing matters right now, so
I would agree.
possibly deciding something swift and dealing with it.
Agree.
Perhaps maybe even, I don't know, keep an eye on him. Make sure that he doesn't leave. And
Easier
then
said than done with the Nosferatu.
agreed, but there are ways to tail things and people. Keep an eye on them when they don't know about it. Regardless, we only have a finite number of days. There is a possibility that this handles itself. Our priority should be to keep Bride safe, and then if after this war happens, probably tending it to it then. But right now it's gone on so long. We have more pressing matters, would be my advice.
As much as it pains me, I would agree. I want to kill him so badly. And I
Assuming
want.
that he was not allowed to embrace,
You were
because there is a
not.
possibility that it was given previously.
You were on the council, was it?
I was not necessarily privy to that information. But would it have been, Mark?
It is likely you would know of, like, all of you would know of anyone that is officially sired within the city.
Mhm.
I will note, Limpy was not sired during the times you were around. More rather, he showed up at some point. He was welcomed into
Okay.
the city under Sister Morana.
Mm.
You don't actually know when he
Yep.
was embraced.
But we don't know if he was given a right of progeny or anything by
Not that
the
you know of.
prince.
Yeah.
He
But
was
Which
not
means he
given official
hasn't.
credit by any.
And we also know the intentions behind, like, why he did it, when he did it, which is just gross and horrible. Just on a
Naturally.
Being something
Carnal level.
beautiful.
People have their own reasons for embracing, whether it is to help or hinder. Sometimes it is to save a life, sometimes it is because they are a useful tool.
He did it
It
because
is
she
always
was
done with
beautiful and he
permission.
hated it.
Yes, that too.
Regardless, I agree with Iris that it's good to keep us in the loop, but I think that there are more pressing matters, as I said before.
So this has
Sister
already
Iris
been
is... Oh, sorry, you go.
this has already been discussed then.
Like 10 minutes ago.
All right. Was a consensus come to?
Maud and I are of the general opinion that while killing him would be good, it's not the best time. And while I would be happy to rend him asunder, and he like looks at the prince and Gwyneth, you can see like in his eyes, he absolutely would. Like the minute that someone says the word "go," he's going out the window, not the door. But he says. But Sister Iris makes the very compelling point that, hey, within a couple of days, it may take care of itself. And if it doesn't, we'll have the best opportunity to put our best foot forward by stamping on the spine of Limpy.
And so we wait to speak with Sister Morana about this as well.
Morana knows,
I think
I'm sure.
Sister Morana's child, and we don't want to make it seem like we're insulting her. And if she resists, then the natural consequence of that, too, will be necessary to be taken. We don't want her as an enemy. But if she is an
Especially
enemy,
right
we want
now.
her dead. But especially not now. She's one of our best assets.
And if we're looking to conversations to have, there is a meeting with the Lupine. That is more pressing if we're going to have a conversation with anyone.
At this
That is
point,
where
there
our
is
time
a
is
knock at the
registering.
door.
Indeed. Talk about meetings that may take care of themselves. That'll kill me. But yes.
Where is he? Where is... Oh, I can't find his token. But the familiar face of Stuart Anders.
Broward Bay. Oh.
Hey!
That's much nicer.
Yeah.
As he says, "Pardon, excuse me, my lords. A letter has arrived. It says the wolves would like to speak, and that they gather
Yay.
not far from the city. The exact
Well,
location
Very
is
well.
entitled within the letter, as he kind of hands it out.
Grand. With that being said, this is likely going to, at the
Thank
very
you, Anders.
least, either. Yeah, thank you.
He bows.
This is going to either kill us or not. If it doesn't, the best we can hope for is a ceasefire, which is grand and fine. It will help us deal with the kind situation and ideally ensure that we can work together on that which is much darker. I
all the more allies
will.
to have.
So we
will
wait
not.
to speak with Sister Marana. Is that correct?
I believe that's the
Okay.
wisest course of action.
I would
All right.
agree.
I think before any of us leave the city, we must decide on a seneschal.
Sure.
Mm.
Were it not so tenuous, I would suggest Morana. But
Lorana would be a good pick, but at the moment, let's see. Oh, and also, once you're Seneschal, you're like one step away from Prince, and that's where most of the assassinations happen. Oh, Amir, speaking of assassins, I think he'd be a fine one, even though his purpose in coming to the Isle has been dealt with. It would put him
Right.
above rank in terms of position over Oswald, which will mollify his bad feelings about that.
he is already
The Scourge.
in it,
Yes.
quite so. Which there's no laws that say you can't hold multiple offices or titles.
And really, Scourge is less of a duty and more a recreation.
I imagine that so is Keeper. That's not me. Just some titles are very specific.
I will say, based purely around his Kine assets, I would recommend Captain Blackwood if he had shown more of an interest in the civic life of the undead.
No, I don't think he's the sort.
So you got Amir and Marana, keeping in mind that they're the ones most likely to try and kill you after they've brought into office.
I think Marana is a bad choice right now, considering what we've just learned today.
Yes, that was what I said.
What of Percy?
Percy would be good, but he's very young.
Percy.
Has
He
In
is.
addition to that... Oh, sorry, Hugo.
I was just going to say that he's only very recently come into, in the same notion, only very recently come into a lot of the city's politics.
And he's bloodbound to an enemy asset.
Mm.
No offense, Stuart Anders.
None taken. He has no reaction
Personally,
to
I
that.
think.
Indeed.
Personally, I think that looking at our options, Amir would be the better choice at the moment. If we even have to name a seneschal right now.
Doesn't necessarily seem. I mean, if you need people to delegate tasks and take advice.
I don't, but there's a chance whoever goes to this meeting may not return. So I think it's important to have structure in place before then.
Well,
I think
imagine.
that my childer standing in while I was gone did not go over terribly well with the council.
It didn't go awfully. I think the main problem was the claim without the actual title being seen as something of an insult. Beyond that, he did fine. Did
Yeah.
all right. Like,
You did a fine
you taught
job.
him well.
He
Well,
just
what about him then?
He's young,
Fine.
but he's of a good generation. I think it'll work well. Nepotism is a well-known tactic within the canine world. It's fine.
it will possibly look as if you were trying to cover up a mistake. Justifying and condoning stepping out of line. I don't know the sort of message that it would send.
I think given the choices that we have, he would be my choice. Not perhaps as permanent seneschal, but perhaps interim while we wait to see what happens with Sir Oliver.
Official
Sure.
acting seneschal. I like it.
Sure, as long as the decision is made.
Up to you. But we shouldn't keep the Draugrs Bane waiting.
The wolves are at the door.
Yes.
What I was going to ask is, who wants to go to that meeting? Who is best? Considering you said it best, Prince. Those that go are the least likely to survive.
I should go.
I should go.
I'm not sure if I should go, considering what happened last time. I'm not sure
we
if it
both
would
got
come
in a
off.
fight.
That's fair, but I was the one who tried to.
It
I'm not
might.
sure if they'd take it favorably.
I would unfortunately agree that showing up might bring up memories and be in poor form.
I'd agree.
Aye.
And I
The
don't.
less we have. Sorry, you go.
I was simply going to say I don't know what use I would be in this meeting. I know that I can be diplomatic, but there are so many things that I need to do. If you want me there, I will go, but
There's a great risk to those who go. I think the less of us who go, the better. So.
Aye. We're not going to beat him in terms of numbers unless we bring the entire court. And quite frankly, I don't think anyone outside this room would say yes. I believe the two of us going is fine. Best place for assassins to hit us, but we'll be fine on the way.
I might
something really
say.
quick.
What?
Oh, I gotta check something really quick.
Okay.
Something
with
that I
that-
can send.
I want to know who's going to the meeting with the wolves. So we have
I am. I'm the Garuraboo.
Yeah. So we have a yes from Gwynedd, a yes from Randolph,
No from Maud.
So I
no from Maud.
just need to visit my childer before I leave, and I kind of want to talk to Judas before I leave, but there may not be time, so.
What are you
Oh.
saying to your child?
Instructions.
And I'm assuming this is Leowyn.
Yes, I will let him know that he is official acting seneschal now. And if there's no time to talk to Judas, I'll give him instructions to speak with Judas. If I do not return about Zamitzi techniques for controlling the lupine, because I know he knows them. He's too old
Alright.
not to.
That is easy to then happen. Go ahead, Arx.
Iris is going to send a Talon along with them, if that is
Alright.
possible.
Sure thing, make the roll.
Ooh.
Take a point of aggravated
Alright.
damage.
Yep.
I don't know what that means.
I know, it's okay.
It's shadow stuff. It's cool.
Okay.
Specifically, we see Iris holding aloft a candle that drips vitae onto it before her hand squashes around it. She takes a point of aggravated damage. The counter goes out, and you make the roll.
Yeah, I gotta make the. Ooh, why is it being weird?
No.
Log back in. Page not found.
Oh no.
That page not found.
There we go. The Sombra is acting up.
Oh no, the
Hmm.
shadows.
Indeed.
They've always been so
Alright.
temperamental.
I know. Alright.
But I think like Randolph on the way would be like talking about Aristotle, I think, is the one who said he who is unable to live in society or has no need because he's sufficient for himself must be either a beast or a god. Werewolves are very much like that. They're like the mix between the two.
They are a bit, aren't they?
Oh, courage.
Yeah,
Successes.
I've gotta do that first in order to actually be able to do the thing. Otherwise, alright, and success, intelligence, occult, difficulty 6.
She closes her hand around the wick.
Alright. So with 4 successes.
Nice.
I think I get the Talon.
Alright, the Talon is
Yeah.
summoned. And we watch as the Talon slips away into Gwyneth's shadow with neither Randolph nor Gwyneth noticing.
Indeed.
Right.
And Gwyneth's shadow's getting crowded these days.
Standing
I'll be
room
with
only.
you.
With that, we cut to the forest. We watch as you two arrive at the location you were given. As you see, there are already 2 figures waiting there. One, Randolph, you would recognize as Rourke. On the other one, you would recognize as Harold Draugosbane.
Old Harry.
Harry.
The Draugosbane steps forward. So which one of yous are the ones in charge?
I am Gwyneth, Prince of Peel.
I think Randolph from the side flanking, like crouched, like not like ready to pounce, but like ready for action, will tilt his head towards him and go, that one. Someone's at the door.
Yeah. You watch as he sniffs the air. His eyes narrowing. Seems you came alone.
We did.
And who's that one? As he looks over to the man at your side, to Randall.
That's Randolph, my sheriff.
Wait. I remember that smell.
We met briefly.
So, my packmate has told me that you might not be the exact enemies that we should be fighting right now. She suggests that we come to a agreement. Stay out of each other's mutual territories. And in exchange, we won't rend you to fucking dust.
We are interested in reaching such an agreement, but what amount of time are we talking about?
So we've dealt with what we need to deal with. The great corruption in this soil.
I imagine the
And
two
then?
of us have similar prey. But what happens next is the tricky thing.
You smell worse than you did before.
I've
You
become
have a
closer to what I need
stench
to be.
of the corruptor on you.
I think this confuses Randolph. Like, Randolph was like, wait, hold on, but I did a thing for myself. Why would I spell like the other thing? So he tilts his head, like, curious, and goes, regardless of what I smell like, I'm still gonna kill it.
You smell a lot like it, actually.
Perhaps it was something I ate.
Interesting
Does
as this may
Randolph...
be,
Indeed, sorry, you go.
I believe the question still stands.
I have something to bring up first.
Very well.
One of your kind tried to corrupt one of the creatures of the sea. Could smell its taint on them.
Not the taint. With it's just glancing at Randolph, like,
So right
I don't know if he
now,
knew about this plan, so...
this is
Indeed.
about you convincing me that you're not the bigger threat that we face. Reason why I shouldn't destroy your kind right now, and then raid the city for the rest of them.
I think you know very well we're not the greater threat here.
You come here facing existential danger, and you lead a pack. You know how difficult it is to fight two foes at once. Whatever distraction, whatever losses you take, you'll have less against the corruptor beneath. Something large enough that's affected this island in a great way before, and something subtle enough that it's evaded detection for centuries. We won't go quietly. But
And
if
how
we
am
do
I
not have
supposed to
to,
know that your people are not aligned with it?
we need, in practical terms, the kine, the beast of the land, the blood that pumps within their veins. It sustains us. A blasted weight, the thing that will result when what I hunt rises, the death of all on this isle, it serves us not. Without food, we starve and die. When we starve and die, where's the reason for aligning with something so destructive?
Why don't you make me a roll to convey your argument? I will allow you to choose what you want to roll for this.
Oh no! Could I
Can I support?
argue for? Oh, thank you.
I would allow. So, how are you supporting him?
Bardic inspiration. No.
You get a D6.
Indeed.
Woot.
Hey, a D6 is interesting in this system. I would like to argue, it's probably a social stat. I would like to argue for charisma survival if I could.
I'll allow it.
Either that or Animal Ken.
Probably not Animal Ken in this case.
Disrespect.
Indeed.
And Gwyneth, how are you helping? What are you doing to aid?
I think he's just generally lending gravitas to Randolph's argument. He's trusting Randolph's gangrel instincts to appeal to the way a lupine would think. So,
Gwyneth, what's your charisma?
great question. 3.
Randolph, you can have 3 extra dice to this.
Thank you kindly. I would like to spend a willpower on this and not botch, ideally.
Very mal. This is going to be difficulty 8 because of your actions.
Indeed. Quite so. All right. 1, a 2, a 3. Let's do this. 4 successes.
With 4 successes, he looks at both of you and grumbles. And for a moment, you wonder when this is going to turn hostile. Where he goes. Stay out of the forests. Avoid... No, do not corrupt or destroy the natural world that we are here to protect. And we won't openly hunt you like the creatures, the worms you are. That is the only agreement I will agree to.
How
Until
long?
the crawl. Oh, yes.
Until
the
we're
crawling shadow bleeds.
Aye.
That works.
Shall we work together? Or separately?
I think, like, Randolph tilts his head like that isn't a possibility that occurred to him.
No, he just goes, I know your kind are swift of word. I also know your kind are deceptive at heart. So no, we will not invite betrayal into our ranks.
Your choice. You know of the army that's coming. Speaking of not entering the forest, you know of the armies that's coming.
Any of them that come through our lands will face the wrath of the wilds.
Very well.
Till the next.
I suppose we have an agreement.
With that we're done here, leave before I change my mind.
I think Randolph will wait for the prince to turn. But as they leave, Randolph isn't going to turn his back to the werewolves. He is going to slink backwards into the dark.
And the same, he does not turn his back to either of you.
We just link arms and just like...
Yeah, just...
One this way, one that way.
Yeah. Alright then. With that, we're going to move ahead. This is going to be the final night. You each have one quick thing you can do. If you would like to do a scene, I need you to make it quick. Before we move on to the final battle.
Quick. How many days out of the war would you say, or them arriving, would you say that took place?
3. 3 days before they arrive.
That means my talent can still be active.
Hell yeah. Very nice.
Randolph, I think, would like to do a very quick thing. He would like to, as a bird, maybe try to scout the oncoming ships at nighttime. Like, if it's a day out, they're, like, well close to the shores.
Yeah.
He wants to identify like numbers, maybe, and like especially at night, like if there are any potential K-Night that he will have to concern himself with.
From what you can tell, there are 15 ships, each of them loaded with men.
Alright.
Fucking orcas.
Fucking orcas. You are sure there are a number of K-Knights, as there does seem to be people who are skulking around on the ships at night when most are resting below decks. A couple of them actually spot you. One of them, what looks to be a man in very nice clothing with a nicely cut beard, seems to like wave to you with a smile.
The bird does not act in any unbird-like way to that. Just
In
continue to
fact,
fly
you
around
watch
for
as he
plausible
actually
deniability.
gestures, as if to like gesture you forward.
No! That's how you get entranced.
Hello,
I would
little
love to have a
birdie.
conversation,
Hello.
but
Hello, little birdie.
I think yes, I think absolutely he is not going to alight on the enemy ship full of enemy
Alright.
vampires just yet.
All right then.
He's a
any
hunter.
other-
He's not a masochist.
Exactly. Any other big things people would like to take care of?
I was thinking just a very quick little scene with Mackenzie. If Maud wants to come, she's invited.
Sure.
But
Sure thing. We'll do conversation in this scene. Alright. Just clear the space. Mackenzie would be there, greeting you as you arrive.
Mackenzie, Lady Mackenzie. Do you have
Just
a title?
Mackenzie will do. How can I help you?
Mackenzie.
I know we haven't spoken very much, but I was hoping if I might enlist your aid in helping the city, if you can.
How would you like my help?
You have ways. You seem very persuasive. If there are people that you can call on, if there are minds that you can influence to fight or not, or leave if they don't have any intent on helping us.
I can do what I can. Make sure things are on the up and up. Absolutely. Would be my pleasure.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
appreciated.
Both of you fine ladies are very welcome.
Right. Thank you.
We'll just kind of nods at her.
And Iris will nod, and then they can
Alright,
Dip
go
out.
with that.
Yep.
Any other scenes people would like to take place?
Do things. First of all, did Ingrid ever return, and did she return with anything of use?
She returned and she said that she was basically turned away by what she believes was another one of your kind. And
Yeah.
she couldn't resist them.
Okay. And then, with that said, he would want to at least round up one of his herd for the next day just to make sure it's there. And he needs to talk to Maud. A real short, quick conversation.
Alright then. With that, you find Maud.
He would probably go to find Maud outside of Bride's room or at Bride's room, whatever,
Probably outside of it, yeah.
and would approach her. But I know we do not have a lot of time. Simply need to ask. And if you do not want to tell me, that is completely your choice. What do you intend to do with Bride when the fighting begins?
I'm going to ask her. I'll protect her regardless. Whether she wants to leave or whether she wants to fight as well. Either way, I'm not going to let anything happen to her.
I understand that. I was merely wanting to make sure she was going to be under your protective gaze, if not my own. She's important.
Of course.
If you have it, and I will see what I can do elsewhere. With that, he will turn, walking away, look over his shoulder. He'll turn for 1 second and look towards Maud. Thank you. It's truly an honor. And he'll leave. Oh.
Any other last-minute preparations?
I think.
Beyond food. Oh, sorry, you go.
Oh, no, you're good. I think Maud. Not sure if it warrants a scene, but she would double check in with Bride as to what she wants to do in the current situation. Whether
Bride
she
is
wants to.
interested in staying where it's safe. She's not a warrior.
Yes.
She's not a fighter. She'd rather
Makes
stay
sense,
in the
yeah.
city. But she also
Yeah, I
understands that
think
you
Maud-
might need to go and fight. That she's alright with
Yes.
that.
Right. Yeah, I think she'd make arrangements maybe with, like, who Iris might have on hand, like in a church, just to make sure that Bride is able to, like, stay where it's safe.
Absolutely. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And I think as. Oh, yep.
This will lead me to my next question. Who is going to the fighting and who is staying in the city?
Fight.
Oh.
I think
Well,
Randolph
fight.
would, if Sir Oliver were here, like, Randolph will not be fighting, but as it is, I think with 15 ships worth of potential K-Knight support, he'll probably be assisting Maud unless directly ordered otherwise.
Just two quick things before we get into battle stuff.
Yep.
On the way back from speaking with the Lupine, I think Gwyneth would ask Randolph and the fishes that they mentioned. That you.
Right. An attempted tactic to slow down these ships failed. Didn't quite work.
Interesting that they smell corruption on you, but not on me, but well.
They smell on you as well. It's just worse on me for some reason. The first, I believed, was because of the path that I walk, the fact that I revel in what I am. The second, I don't know.
They can't smell the demons. It's interesting.
Aye. It's because the demons are of the natural world in some strange way.
Those we'll never know since they don't wish to cooperate with us. Anyway.
Better this way. It was always going to end this way.
I suppose. And then Gwyneth just wants to see where Maine stands on this, if he's going to help us or if he needs to get the heck out of the city.
Maine says it's probably best if he leaves. Mostly because he doesn't want to ensure that the enemies of where he's from come upon you because he's here.
Mhm.
He also doesn't want to
Alright.
make enemies for his
Respect.
leader either. Yeah.
All right. He will certainly be allowed to leave.
Mhm.
Beyond that, I think Randolph would just like to eat what may be his last meal,
Mhm.
Yes.
and then prepare for a fight. He hasn't really fought in large-scale combats before, so this is going to be an eye-opening experience for him.
I did have a question about
yeah.
feeding throughout the week, though. Since it's been 6 nights roughly, is there an opportunity to kind of feed throughout that? Because I need some blood.
There is. We will roll for blood
Yeah.
before the combat.
Easy.
The
No
main thing I
worries.
want to know now is who's in the city and who's going to the battle.
Of course.
Iris will remain, but she will send her Talon that remains in Maud's shadow.
Alright.
Father
Smart.
Elijah's making his move.
Snorri's
It's not.
Snorri's going to stay back in the. Oh, no, he'd go fight. I hate it, but he'd go fight.
Gwynedd, are you staying or are you fighting?
He's gonna stay. He'll stay.
Alright.
But he'll go somewhere high where he can see what's happening.
Alright. That's good. With that,
Blue
I can
has made an excellent point. Can I bring Ragnar, who it has been some time since
Oh, yeah,
last he
Ragnar will
felt
be
the
with you.
red, warm red
Absolutely.
blood in his lips.
Ragnar will be fighting alongside you. Absolutely.
Hell
Aw.
yes. This is how it should be.
Some things to note.
Yes.
Sister Marana is nowhere to be found.
Of course.
Yeah,
Leowen
she's
is in the
obfuscated.
city.
Duh.
Morgan is within the city. Amir chooses to stay within the city to help out.
Mm-hmm.
If that works, if there's an assassin, you gotta help.
Kenzie's in the city. Captain Blackwood joins the battle. Oswald
Hell
joins
yeah.
the battle.
Meh.
And Judas joins the battle at a distance. Elijah is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, no
Things are
shit.
about to get
Obviously.
bad.
Stays signed, and Percy joins the battle.
God, it's when you get a Tremere and a Zemise working on the same side, man, it is all going straight to.
Mark never said they're working
mean-
on the same side. They just said that they are joining the battle. Never
Forget
said
about
what
the
side.
silence.
True.
That's all I know. Oswald
That's
starts
what I
like
say, side by
lemon
side.
bolting
You
people
should
left and
enjoy the
right.
silence.
Lightning bolting people, turning people into large conglomerated masses of 20 people that march across the
Hot.
battlefield, killing
Hot,
their old
hot.
allies.
Yep.
Alright.
Judas is
that-
not hot. I
Yes.
get
No.
it, but
No,
Alright,
he's
alright.
not. He's bad.
Iris not here.
Bad people are not.
Uh,
Leprechaun is.
Could
Nora is
we-
here.
could we hypothetically feed up to full before this begins?
Must
You said
have
we'd roll
roll
for
I'm
blood in
going
a
to
second.
say, in this
Oh,
case,
gotcha.
you guys can roll 2d10s for blood. And I want all of you to do
Okay.
this. And you can add
Amazing.
your points in herd on top of that. For your starting blood. This will be your starting blood for the finale
10.
as well.
Yes.
Alright.
Does this count into effect efficient digestion, or is it straight 10?
No, you can use your thing for efficient digestion.
Perfect. Alright. 15.
Wow. I
Damn.
don't think I can have that much.
You have whatever your...
Give me one of
it-
those.
It goes up to your maximum.
Whatever my max.
It depends on your generation.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't have 21.
Give some of that blood to
Yeah.
Snorri, I think.
You guys are
don't
free
think I
to
can.
move that between each other. You also have the number of vessels that you have in total that you
Oh.
can share between each other.
Oh, Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah, you can take some of mine. Take some of mine.
I've got plenty of vessels because I've barely
Yeah.
touched it.
Oh,
I,
that's true.
I can
Yeah.
top off. I'll be fine.
Cool. Cool.
In that
Yeah,
case,
maybe
I
I'm in
would
the same
love to get a
situation.
little sippy.
Yeah.
Sure.
Point of that mark, I'm gonna do that whole need 5 points, spend 5 points, and do that 4th level necromancy ability for
Sure
fight.
thing.
Oh, yep.
Absolutely. I think as we see Snorri now, would you like to describe how he looks more like a corpse?
So,
Oh.
if even able to be comprehended, skin, even paler, his bones almost pulling through his skin, his hair and eyes jet black, no pupils. He is moving faster than you've ever seen him, dragging a foot behind him. It looks like a very close to a demonic walking corpse.
Oh, also describe what his armor looks like, because now he has his armor on.
That's right. So he's wearing a very ancient version of a chainmail that has some copper embedded into it as well. Over his shoulders, a mantle down to his knees, and carries a large round shield on his back and a spear with him, as well as an ocular style helm that has the little sunglass visor for him, his eyes, his deep black eyes to look out from.
Oh, now that's a good idea. Oh well,
Oh no.
Randolph just go out with no armor.
here's the thing. You gotta move quickly.
Nature boy.
Yeah, those who are wearing armor do mention if you are now wearing armor if you don't usually.
Yeah.
Could I wear class 1 heavy clothing, basically like a gambeson?
I think that can be done easily.
Ooh,
Perfect.
nice.
Or Iris would have acquired some things in if people need things.
Yeah.
Ingrid, if Markle, Ingrid will be at your disposal as well, because she's not coming to the fight.
Alright. Okay then. So with that, as we move over to the battlefield, there is a brief moment as you guys are within your war tent, planning what is going out as both armies have begun to form and ready themselves for the coming conflict.
Mhm.
There is a knock on the wall, or rather one of the wooden posts that hold the tent together, as an unfamiliar face looks through. Randolph, you recognize this as being one of the men that looked up to you that was on the ship. He goes, "Do you mind if we pop in for a little
Uh-oh.
chat?"
What brings the armies of Scotland to our war tent? Please be welcome.
Not the armies. Just a few individuals. I thought we might have a chat before things begin, as it were.
More civilized and
At this point, he gestures in, as you see, for one, two dark, bright, actually, like bone white skinned, pointed eared Nosferatu step into. One on each side, mirroring their actions as they step into the tent. As you watch as a large hand comes in to pull the tent higher so they can step inside, as the large, bearded, red haired form of what is almost a giant, standing at least 8 feet tall, as he goes, "Greetings to you all.
what do
My
they feed
name,
you?
my enemies." Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Graham Drummond, and I will be your enemy for tonight's battle. And with that, the other man steps aside and goes, and I am Lord... No, that's not his voice. And I am Lord Alistair. A pleasure. And these are the twins. As he gestures to the two Nosferatu, who scowl and hiss in your direction. We have been sent here to conquer this land for our Lord. Or rather, for ourselves, I guess is a better way of saying it. Is that right, Graham? We do. But I thought we could come to a bit of an understanding before we begin. See, we're not here to bring you your destruction. In fact, we kind of want some subjects to be able to rule over when we take over. So how about a little bit of a quid pro quo between us? An honouring of the traditions. Shall not, or perhaps shall do our best, not to destroy one another during the battle. Whoever is captured, or rather brought to their defeat, is taken in. Perhaps a ransom can be paid towards the winner. We're just looking to be civil about this. No need for needless destruction, unless of course you want to invite it upon yourselves. In that case, there will be no mercy. So what do you think? As he looks around to all of you.
It is terrifying to look at someone inhuman like Randolph who looks at the rest of the people and you can truly see in his eyes that he could go either way. But he doesn't say anything yet.
Snorri looks across to them.
Oh, we lost Mars.
We lost Mars. Oh no!
He's back.
Welcome back.
So
Thank you.
Snorri
Oh,
looks
no.
across to him and will leave dead me. Can leave right now.
Could you repeat that, sir? You cut out a little.
If you can leave me, the dead, and the dead to me, I can leave right now. I have no quarrel with you directly.
I'm not opposed to that.
I think Randolph, who, again, truly could go either way, looks to the people with more of a, like, mortal stake to things. He looks to, like, Blackwood, Oswald, Judas, Maud. While I can see the advantage in avoiding death, I don't think we'll all be playing with our best foot forward there. We'll do our best, of course, and those that live we will not be executing out of respect for each other's nations.
I guess that's good enough. Looks to Graham. Graham nods slowly, his eyes on you, Randolph.
Randolph has a crush. He's gonna kill this guy.
Alright then.
But he will say, I'm glad we could have such a fruitful conversation.
Aye, me too. Best of luck to you. Though, of course, I don't think you're going to be winning this. With that, turns around and steps out. They all leave, following with him.
I think Randolph will turn to Snorri and go, "Hey, win or lose, you're gonna get the corpses. It would be nice to have you with us, but if not, I can understand. You got your own duties."
I think there's been a grave misunderstanding. I woke up from a long sleep not very long ago. A city I didn't recognize, but one I helped build. Where trust and respect granted and earned. Don't wish any of you any harm. Honestly, I would help anybody here. But those Canaanites, that's what you want to call them, don't want to destroy our city. The rest of the army does. Alright, there's nothing to roll over if we're all dead. And I think maybe this is just going to be the first wave of many coming to this isle. So, good luck. Maud, I will make sure nothing happens to Bride. My last breath. And he nods to you and exits the tent. He's walking back to the city.
Alright.
A shame, but we work with what we have.
I think you hear from Judas as he seems to chuckle.
Oh god.
It is no matter. I have found us suitable replacements that will aid us moving forward. With that, he gestures towards two large wooden boxes
Oh
that
god.
were brought in with him. As he moves over
been
to
so
them, he
long.
places a hand on it, and as he does, you watch as the boxes begin to shake, and you hear the sound of something banging against the wood. I have been looking for an opportunity to test out my creations. This will do nicely. As he rips off the wood fronts, revealing two horrific flesh monstrosities.
Jesus.
Yeah.
They have extended jaws with sharp, mismatched teeth. Their flesh is thickened and almost looks to be as if they were mixed with muscles that are external. You see they have no eyes. Whatever the eyes were have been covered. And they have what look to be holes kind of similar to that of like a skull where the nose is missing. And they are completely hairless. You watch as they move, they seem to twist and shake and tremor as the sounds of quiet screams escape their large maws. It is all right, my creations. You will feast imminently. With that, we are going to move ahead towards the battle itself.
Yeah.
I talk a big game about how inhuman Randolph is. Randolph didn't like that.
No,
Specifically,
Lord, like that.
yeah. The battles, I have the commanders of Olaf the Black leading his forces, facing down Alan of Galloway, the
Oh.
Lord of Galloway, and the. Oh, I gotta look up his name.
Is he wearing a shawl?
No, he is not. He is wearing armor.
Yeah.
He is also the Constable of Scotland. And his army dwarfs the size of Olaf's.
We'll need a miracle, and we don't have God on our side. Quite the opposite.
Yes,
Well,
his armies are massive. One thing you would notice is the banners of Douglas are not here.
Yep,
Do it.
that tracks.
Hey.
And with that, the battle begins as the two armies clash. We're going to see flashes of what each of you are doing in the battle, just to get an idea of the scale and brutality of it. Why don't we start off with Randolph?
I think if this were a month ago, 2 months, 3, he would be with the archers, like shooting volleys after volleys. But his blood is up. He thinks he would be most effective fully breaching the silence and killing with his hands. We are completely outmanned and outgunned, but Randolph is not personally outpowered, and he can do his best work, a whirlwind of flesh and fang alongside Ragnar.
All right.
Ideally,
Ooh.
attacking flanks. Otherwise, gotta take the pressure off the rest of the forces.
That is easy to do. With that, how is Maud fighting in this case?
I think. I think for the most part, unless put in a particularly difficult situation, she has brought her. I think it was her axe, if I recall correctly. She had an axe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, battle axe, if I recall correctly. But yeah, I think she's particularly fighting using that. But in a pinch, if she does need to use her fangs, she will.
All right.
Um,
Edie... Oh, God.
I was gonna say, if at any point it looks like Randolph or Maud need the assistance, the Talons will lash out, possibly with Arms of Armens, because they have up to Obten 3, so...
I think we do
help
watch
with
as
that.
each of you are fighting behind you when someone goes up to like strike you from behind. This large tendril extends from your darkness, wraps around their throat, and pulls their head off.
Nice. Love it.
Randolph jumps 8 foot in the sky.
Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah.
There is a shadow tentacle where he didn't expect it, but he adjusts quickly.
Thanks, Cyrus.
All right then. We would see. Sir Percy fighting alongside a regiment of men, commanding them to continue forward. He does so with the grace and strategic mind that has been given to him by Sir Oliver, and he does so well, earning his reputation as a fearsome knight. We would see Blackwood tearing through enemies with his sword, cutting them down like they're nothing, slashing through armor as if it were wood, cracking it, slicing it, destroying it. He fights like a warrior possessed. We see Oswald, who stands a little further in the back, but every once in a while, when one of the enemies gets too close to some of the archers or something like that, we just watch as he looks to them, holds out his hand, and does this. as we watch 3 of them drop dead, their skin boiling as their blood burns them from the inside out.
Yes.
We see these horrific creatures cutting through men with what are horrific talons, biting into their throats, tearing out flesh. We see one of them ripping into the rib cage of a man, pulling out their intestines and eating them like it's food. Eating flesh, muscles, internal organs, bones, it doesn't matter, they consume all of it. We cut to the other side of the battlefield as we see Lord Alistair ordering men forward who fight with an almost possessed nature. They ignore their wounds, they ignore their fears, they fight for the sake of their lord, and they do so gladly. Dying by the... I was going to say... Well, maybe hundreds is a bitter one. I was going to say thousands, but that's too many. Truly, they are just laying down their lives and throwing themselves away for the sake of this battle. We see the Goliath form of Graham cutting into the enemies with his sword and his large shield, blocking the attacks that are coming towards them. He also at one point takes his shield and slams it into the head of a man, cutting through it like it were a blade. Throughout the battle, we see the different fights and such like that, the bloodshed that spills across the ground. I'd like all of you that are in the battle, so the 2 of you, to make Perception Alertness, difficulty 9.
Alright.
Does the search specialty apply?
Not in this case.
Navigation. Does navigation? I'm assuming not.
No, not in this case.
Yep, so perception, alertness, difficulty 9.
Yes.
Oh,
If I'm
watch.
watching from
Your
high up,
staff
can
is-
I try to or no?
No, you're a little far away. This is more something that we noticed by people who are there on the grounds.
Oh,
With the talon, by any chance?
Yeah, I'd say so. Make its Perception
Alright.
Alertness, which I think is just...
3. It says 6. Is they
Yeah.
have 3 perception and 3 alertness.
Make that roll. 6 dice, difficulty 9.
Watch it get 3 successes.
That would be really funny.
Zero.
Difficulty 9, yeah, 0.
Yeah, 0
Yeah.
successes. So it doesn't notice as we see you 2 tearing through your enemies, cutting them down, blood spilling everywhere. But we, as an audience, sees the earth begin to shake
Oh,
and
fuck.
quake. As we see a point where the blood has pooled high enough to be up to the ankle. And then we watch it begin to sink into the earth. Maud, you find yourself, as you're cutting down, a familiar face faces you. The warrior that you fought all the way
Yes!
in the first battle for the Isle faces you
Hey.
down with a grin. Glad you didn't die before I had the chance to kill you.
Well, I could say the same for you.
Oh, this is going to be fun. As she grabs her spear and begins to run at you. Alright. Going to
Shadow
lock
Ah.
weapons with her. With
Mhm.
that, Randolph, as you are covered in blood at this point, after tearing through soldier after soldier, foe after foe, there's a point where you're not even sure if you're fighting the enemy anymore. You're just killing because it feels great.
Fantastic. I think I'm far enough over there that I'm killing the
Yeah,
enemy.
you
but
think
if
you're in
the
the enemy,
odd
but you're not
ally
really
steps
sure.
in-
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, who can say? I'm using the big guy as a landmark.
It's at this point you find yourself, you fought towards Graham. As you see at this point, he has in his hand one of the horrific creatures that have been created by Judas, and it just seems to be like trying to like bite his hand as he's gripped it by the face, and he looks at you and he goes, "Good. I was hoping I was gonna be able to face you. Are you ready to die, wolf?"
That I am.
You watch as he just crushes the skull of this creature in his hand, and it goes limp as he throws the body to the ground and picks up his shield to face you.
Or better yet, kill.
And as you run towards him, the ground beneath
yes?
you parts. As you quickly jump to the side, as you watch a tear in the earth begin to appear, you now feel the shaking as you realize, oh, the ground's shaking pretty badly. Like, this is some sort of earthquake that's happening. And as you look down at the
Oh, no.
tear in the ground, a hand appears out of it.
The
And then
How big is
another
the hand?
Pretty fucking big. Bigger than yours, to be sure, but not quite as big as Graham's. As you watch a figure pull themselves out of the ground. As we see this figure.
Oh.
Hold on, let me make him big.
Ooh, he looks spooky.
Oh,
Oh, no.
no.
Don't like it.
Skin almost the color of ice as he claws his way out. A dark beard that is braided but also wild. He wears like straps and furs, dressed in the garb of an old Nordic warrior. As he pulls himself for the ground and rises to his feet, he looks around with a smile. Aye. Now this feels like home. He looks to you, Randolph, sniffing at the air. You are kin, aren't you? See it in your eyes.
Yeah. I think Randolph's eyes like track from him briefly to Ragnar, who I believe now beholds his master.
Yes, Ragnar looks to him and bows his head in submission. You did all right, my old friend. You.
Red.
Yeah, you, because you would hear this as the wolf speaks.
Yeah.
He has aided me, my master. It's coming from Ragnar. I has he. Seems I owe you a debt.
You must be hungry after a long slumber. There is much more blood to be spilled here.
Oh, yes. And I look forward to it. It is time I regain my isle.
Oh boy. I think like Randolph has the look in his eye of, to borrow from Matilda, that young child who sees the cake and is like, oh, this cake is much larger than I expected it.
Mhm.
I bet it is.
He looks at you and he goes, "And what is your name, warrior?" Actually, no, he'd say, "What is your name, brother?"
He would say, he's not a Ventru, he's not gonna name his sire. He says, Randolph.
Randolph. A good name. I am Magnus Odin's son. And today, you shall be my shield brother.
Well,
This is actually fantastic for Randolph. Like, that feels great.
With that, we cut back to Peel.
Yay!
Lord, help me.
As we are within the church, as everything is secured. At this point, we'll say, Gwyneth, you've come back down from your perch after seeing how the battle is going. It does not look like it's going well. It looks like it may be a matter of time before they arrive at the gate. And with that, you head back down towards where everyone is securing at the church. As you do, you see Iris, who is quickly helping to organize everything, and you can share with the information you have gathered from your high perch.
I mean, so Gwyneth didn't see the last part where the dude popped out of the ground.
No, you just saw that the battle is not going well, and that you need to prepare for the battle to arrive at the gates.
So I think he would share that with Iris in a way as to not be overheard by people sheltering who might panic.
Easy enough. I imagine you probably gather in a place where some of the other people would be. I'll say it's with Bride, who's also kind of staying off in the shadows.
Yeah. I imagine if there's some sort of underground portion of the church, like a cellar, a lot of the people are there.
Absolutely.
You know, as much can fit. A lot of the nuns and such helping upstairs, and anyone who can fight a little bit. Yes, well, we shall do our best here. And if it comes to it, then defend it we will. Because this is our island. This is my domain. And if people attack it, then on their own heads be it.
I shall go to the gates and attempt to stop them before they get far within the city.
Gwyneth,
At this
go with God.
At this point, a runner comes through the doors of the church as it goes, "The gates have been breached! The gates have been breached!" Gwyneth, this is far earlier than you expected.
I mean, I guess he'll take off.
At this point, you would see slinking in is Amir.
How does he look?
In and goes, he looks all right. He's dressed in his armor and prepared for battle as he steps in and goes. A number of Cainites have entered the city with a small group of mortals. I think they're from Douglas. Actually, no, I think they're from Douglas. That's not his accent. I'm gonna try and find his accent.
I think they're from Douglas.
I think they're from Douglas.
I see.
It won't be long
The
before
Infernals.
I think that is likely. It won't be long before they arrive at the church.
Well, they did say they were bringing war to us. From something that we did. But I don't recall doing more than just having a meeting.
When did they say this?
I have ways of looking into things.
See.
In either
I
case,
see.
you two should be ready to meet them. If you would like, I can continue to prepare the dancers from here and make sure this one, as he points off to Bride, doesn't get swept up in the ensuing conflict.
Yes, please do. Sister Iris, I think between you and Father Michael, you'll be able to secure the church. I'll go out to meet them.
You wish me to stay here then?
I think what you do is up to you, but as you said, this is your territory, and the people who need protecting the most are here.
As
If you wish to come, of course you may. It's your choice, but I must go.
Alright.
As I said, go with God.
At this point, you watch as Amir steps back and ushers Bride into one of the rooms off on the side. Protect her. I'd like both of you to make me a perception alertness, difficulty 9. You can lower it using your Auspex if you have it.
I would love to do that.
Got nothing. Stupid ones.
It's telling me I can't access my character sheet. What the heck?
That
Roll
was what
20?
happened. That was what
I might
happened
have
with
to
me
re-
earlier too.
You
Yeah.
might have to
Yeah,
do
I
a
had to like
reload.
refresh the whole thing.
Yeah, you might have to refresh.
Likewise.
I had something
might
similar
have-
happened. I think Roll20 had an issue.
An update or
I
something.
think it did, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's totally logged me out. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Page not found. Cool. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
That's exactly.
Yeah, you just gotta click on it again for your
Mhm.
games. Your games.
Indeed.
It should be
Yeah,
there,
you're
but
in.
you might not be able to check your character sheet, which should be fine anyway.
Perception awareness, right?
Alertness.
Alertness in this case. This will be alertness.
Okay. All right. And with Auspex, I can lower the difficulty to 8.
How many points in Auspex you have? You can lower it to 7.
Okay. Give it a shot.
Okay. Neither of you notice as the door is locked. We cut to inside the room as we see Bride taking a seat, very worried as she turns to Amir and says, I wish I could be out there to help, but I don't know if I'll be of any use. Amir turns to her with a smile. Oh, you shouldn't worry, dear Bride. They're very useful. A little too useful. As he grins, we see his eyes shift to a serpent-like gleam.
Yeah.
And we see a snake's tongue flicker out of his mouth.
Yeah.
With that, we're gonna end the session here.
Hell yes.
Oh, yes.
I didn't anticipate. Well, I did anticipate the set eyes. I didn't think this would be the set eye thing.
A snake in
Uh,
the garden, is it?
It's a snake in the garden.
Forbidden fruit, baby.
I had no idea. Oh god.
My baby boy.
Bad
What do you mean?
feeling.
He's the most charming out of everybody.
That's just standard Assamites.
I know, but also.
It's also not. The Atsamites are very much not charming.
Famously not charming.
Famously not very hospitable to
One
people.
of them was, okay?
No, again, you can't use that to taint your perception of a whole clan.
I know,
Clans
I
and-
know.
Clans are not a
Rose-colored
monolith.
glasses,
Or
baby.
rather, clans can be a monolith. Whatever the correct term is.
Clans aren't monoliths.
Yeah.
One might say that one good apple is not enough to unrot the barrel.
Yeah.
God damn.
But yes,
He
I
does
hope...
generally.
That's true. I hope those who are watching have enjoyed. We're gonna do some outros. And hopefully you'll be joining us next week for our final episode, where we get to see how things wrap up. With that, we're going to start with Mars. Give us your outro.
Goodbye, everyone. I am Mars, and I played Maud, the Valkyrie Hound. Aramane's bloodline. Amir, count your fucking days.
Yeah. Next up, Thomas, give us your outro.
Hello, my name is Thomas, and I have been Randolph of Clan Gangrel. He's feeling very conflicted about this whole thing, mostly because of the rising of an ancient Methuselah, son of Odin, and directly being conscripted into being a shield brother right before a climactic duel. He doesn't know what's going on, but he's along for the ride, baby, screaming the whole way. It's been a lovely time. Thank you all for watching.
Very nice. Next up, Blue. Why don't you give us your outro?
Hey everybody, I have been Blue and Prince Gwyneth of Peel, Clan Zamitzi, and I did one thing once in this game. It was cool. I did one thing.
It was cool. Up next, Drew. Why don't you give us your outro?
Good evening, everybody. It has been a joy playing Snorri of Clan Cappadocian. Amir better count his days twice, because even after Maud kills him, Snorri's gonna have something to say to him in the afterlife. It'll be a good time.
Yes.
That's very true. We'll have to see how things go. If Amir can make it out of this alive. Next up, last but certainly not least, Rebecca, give us your outro.
Oh boy, have I been Rebecca this episode. Good lord. And I played Keeper Sister Iris. But Rebecca got so many gifts today. Nazi twins and creepy body horror boys and I was so happy. So happy. Even though Iris is in misery because everyone is the same in the end.
And the food.
Well, yes, and they're men who push when I wish to not.
Absolutely. And I have been Mark, aka the CatsMeow. This is my lovely Isle of the Damned series. I hope you've enjoyed. If you are watching on Twitch, please give us a follow. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a like, comment, and subscribe for more lovely content. What else do I have to say? I have
smashing that like button.
Smash on that like button. Do that like button dirty.
Yeah.
We have certainly created an energy here tonight.
Oh boy.
I also have my House of Tremere game, which runs on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. EST. Go check that out. With a lovely cast over there. And yes, don't forget to come join us next week as we do the finale of the Isle of the Damned series. I just can't look at Rebecca anymore while I'm saying these things. My lovely dear players will of course join us there, and we may in fact have a special guest. It is with that we will wrap things together, as I would just like to say. I hope you're ready for the betrayal of Amir, the serpent that is hid among the blades, and the return of Magnus Odinson, High Jarl of the Isle of Man. With that, I only have one last thing to say. Daddy's home.
Meow.